You're listening to TALRadio powered by Touch a Life Foundation, and this is Foodology. I'm radio host Devansh, and on this show, I talk about the enormous world of a little word called food. If we had to select just one spice to flavor our food, pepper, the master spice, would be a wise choice. Always the world's most important spice, at one time worth its weight in gold. Pepper accounts for about 35% of the total world trade in spices today. It is a staple in food manufacturing, and in household kitchens, its popularity is rivaled only by its sister seasoning, which is salt. The importance and complexity of this spice is often overlooked by the abundance of salt and pepper shakers that are present on tables across the world. As the name suggests, pepper. It peps up almost any dish. It works well with every spice and flavor and is used in all cuisines of the world. Pepper's status as a popular spice stems from its distinctive taste, aroma, and versatility. Pepper is a berry that comes in different flavors and colors ranging from green, white, and more. Pungent, earthy, hot, woody, brash. Pepper's distinct flavor somehow pairs well with just about any savory food, and some sweet ones too. If salt helps to bring out flavors, black pepper makes food bolder versions of themselves. The plant's vine wraps itself around trees in the wild, and in commercial growing, it is manually wrapped around poles or trees. Small flowers produce rows of berries drooping off the vines as the berries mature and the flower fades away. Once the first berries on the spike go from green to red, the whole spike is plucked, harvested, and dried under the hot sun, going from round and fleshy fruit to the hard and wrinkly orb that we all are familiar with. Out of all these spices, pepper is the most popular, so much so that we almost take it for granted. If we think about it, we realize that pepper is magically everywhere. But do we ever wonder where it came from? Archaeological evidences of people using pepper goes back to at least 2000 BC in India. Back then, Europeans considered India paradise in itself, the land of spice and everything nice. But the story of this spice and the spice trade is anything but nice. The story of pepper is filled with greed, war, and colonization. The vine of pepper plant is native to Kerala, in India. Sumerian records dating back to 3000 BC refer to Kerala as the Garden of Spices. It is known that pepper was exported, but to what extent still remains a mystery. Nonetheless, signs of ancient pepper trade from India to Egypt have been found, including the peppercorns that have been stuffed into the nostrils of mummies. By 600 BC, nomadic Arabs gained control over the spice trade and Arabia flourished. Certainly by 40 AD, the Romans had a thriving trade in spices, including pepper. Leaving the southwestern coast in India in July with the monsoon winds, Roman sea traders brought cinnamon, incense oils, and peppers to their great commercial hub in Alexandria. When the strong monsoon winds switched in the fall, the traders rode them back. When Rome was attacked in 410 AD by barbarians to lift the siege of Visigoths and prevent the city from being sacked, along with gold, silver, silk, and hides, the Romans paid 3,000 pounds of pepper. Negotiations soon broke down again. However, the Eternal City was plundered. With the eventual fall of Rome, the Dark Age slowly crept over Europe like a shadow. The knowledge of Kerala and its garden of spices slipped out of time and mind. In order to protect their profits and maintain their monopoly, the Arab traders began telling stories about the dangerous nature of harvesting pepper. Myths of dragon-like serpents guarding the pepper trees circulated throughout Europe. The stories went like that in order to harvest pepper, the trees had to be burnt, driving the snakes away, and in the process, that turned the originally white fruit black. After each burning, the trees would have to be replanted, which required money and time, adding to the price. This myth survived hundreds of years. In actuality, pepper is a climbing vine plant, which is green in color, and the only reason that it turns black is that it is dried in the sun and not burnt. Pepper was certainly not the only spice that carried a myth. Another myth surrounded cinnamon, that cinnamon grew on inaccessible mountains, and in order to retrieve the cinnamon, you had to trick a type of bird who happened to make their nests out of cinnamon. Locals would leave heavy pieces of meat out for the birds, and the bird would take the meat to their nests. The weight of the meat would break the nest and cinnamon would fall to the ground, which was then collected. Well, I'm guessing that's not exactly how it works. Now, as the demand for pepper grew, so did its trade. By the 10th century, pepper had become important throughout Europe. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Venice arose as a strong naval power. The Arab traders were not the only ones on the sea, and in the Middle Ages, many other seafaring groups had joined this spice trade. By the 14th century, Genoa had become a prominent commercial center with pepper as its primary commodity. Spice merchants from Alexandria brought pepper to Venice as well, and by the end of the 15th century, over 400 tons of it was brought in every year. So much so that the Venetians marked up the price of spices an average of 40% during the 15th century. Soon, pepper was only available to the rich and became a status symbol, a way for the rich to flaunt their wealth and affluence. The medieval ruling classes had a peculiar penchant for strongly flavored dishes. The higher the rank of the household, the more the amount of spices was present in their food. Food in medieval household was highly processed and richly spiced. Uncooked food was rarely eaten. Even the vegetables and fruits were spiced. These spices were used to season all types of foods, including meat, fish, soups, desserts, and even wine. It was also common in medieval banquets to pass around a spice platter, from which the guests could choose extra seasonings like pepper for their already richly spiced dishes. Scholars have been long debating why spices became so popular in the medieval cuisine. It is commonly believed that they were used to preserve meat or mask the flavor of decomposing produce, but their effects would be far less than the common practices of salting, smoking, or pickling. Some have also believed that the extensive use of spices was fueled by Galen's medical theories promoting their effects on health. However, there is no reason to believe that medieval diners stuck to healthy diets any more than people today. Most likely, the exotic origins of spices and their costliness made them a status symbol which fueled their widespread popularity. In 1497, the Portuguese king Manuel sent Vasco da Gama to find the sea route to India with the purpose of finding Christians and spices. Many of these spices had medicinal values and would grow only in tropics of the east that made them much sought after in the west. These spices were not just used as food flavoring agents, but they were used in potions, antidotes for poisons, ointments, and some were even burnt as incense. By the end of the 15th century, the Portuguese took over the spice trade, but not without a high price. As the British Empire rose in prominence in the tropics, it eventually took control of the spice trade, with commercial groups like the British East India Company, supported by its dominant military. The pepper and spice market remained strong in Europe until the mid 17th century, when it fell drastically due to many causes. The origins of spices were also now well known, and they did not seem so mysterious and exotic anymore. Perhaps, most importantly, there was a seismic shift in taste. The wealthy people of Europe no longer liked fiery and perfumed foods. The reduction in spice use in Europe led to a dramatic change in what was exported from India and Southeast Asia to Europe. These spices were replaced first by cotton in the late 1600s, and then by tea and coffee in the 1700s. A large portion of Dutch and English trade also shifted to the Atlantic Ocean and its sugar, tobacco, and their slave trade. As of today, Vietnam, Indonesia, and India are the leading producers of black pepper. The pepper plant thrives in hot and humid tropical climates, and it can reach a height of 33 feet. The plant grows well in soil which is rich in humus and well drained, with a pH ranging from 5 to 6.5. Cultivation can either be done through cuttings or by the use of seeds. The cuttings are preferred over seeds as they require a much shorter period to grow. The proper plant, being a climber, uses the support of a pole or a tree to climb. After 3 to 4 years, the plant bears small flowers on spikes, while the fruits are produced in the 5th year, and harvesting only begins when the fruit looks red. Hand-picking is the most common method of harvesting. The spikes are spread out in the sun until the berries shrivel and turn dark. The berries are then stripped off the spikes and are packaged as whole or in grounded form. Pepper's distinct flavor somehow pairs well with all foods. The word pepper describes dozens of different types of varieties that come in a medley of colors and flavors. First, we have black pepper. Black peppercorns begin as green berries on the vine. Once the bunch of berries has ripened and they go from green to dark red, the spikes are harvested and shriveled by the sun into puckered, dark brownish spheres which we call black peppercorns. After they are dried, the peppercorns are sifted through a mesh screen to sort them into different grades according to size. The larger the peppercorn, the better and stronger the flavor, with the largest peppercorns sorted into the highest grades, of course. The best kind of black peppercorns are the telecherry peppercorns. Other types of black peppercorns are named for the regions that they are grown in, or their names are derived from the ports of India. Malabar black pepper is named after India's Malabar coast in Kerala, along India's southwestern point, where it was historically grown. Malabar peppercorns are smaller and milder in flavor, pungent but not quite as sharp and full-flavored as telecherry, and have a lighter brown coloring. Well, India is certainly not the only country that grows good quality pepper. Vietnam and Indonesia produces notable quality of peppercorns. Pepper has been growing in India and the neighboring regions for years. The plant was introduced by Europeans to its New World colonies. This New World pepper crops found it hard to compete flavor-wise with the depth of flavor that comes from Indian growers. Brazilian peppercorns are inferior in flavor, but provide an important resource for large companies that need enormous quantities of cheap pepper. Brazilian pepper is thin, and you'll probably get a hint of it when it's used in pre-packaged foods. The differences between Brazilian and telecherry pepper is night and day, but among the higher quality peppers, the grades of telecherry, Malabar and Lampong can be difficult to distinguish the differences if each is taken on its own. Now, apart from these basic round peppers, there are two more members to the piper family which are lesser known today. but they had a significant role in kitchens and medicinal workshops in the ancient times. Cubeb pepper and long pepper. While both were once popular in ancient Rome, Greece, and parts of China, nowadays they are found only at specialty spice shops. However, they are a very tasty addition to your spice rack, especially if your love for black pepper runs deep. Long pepper is hotter and sweeter than standard black pepper, adding spiciness with a subtle hint of ginger kicking in. Cubeb pepper, on the other hand, which is also known as Java pepper or tailed pepper, has a sharp astringent flavor with a nutmeg-like warmth. Both long and cubeb peppers are suitable substitutions for black pepper. Next up is green pepper. Like most fruits, peppercorns too being a green fruit which ripen over time to obtain a certain color. Peppercorns in their unripened stage are green in color. They darken over time. Today's pepper producers dehydrate these green peppercorns after harvesting to prevent them from ripening into black pepper. In the past, green peppercorns were pickled in a brine, but that method is less common today as drying technology has obviously improved a lot. Green peppercorns lack the rich complexity of the older black peppercorns, yet they have their own tartness. In simple words, take the difference between a green tomato and a ripe tomato. The green one is younger and fresh tasting, not as complete as the red one but still tasty in its own right. Green peppercorns are the same. They offer a zesty brightness that black peppercorns lack and add a fruity vitality to dishes. Green pepper can be used in place of black pepper for a milder and a brighter flavor. Both have their different roles in the kitchen though. Next up is white pepper. If you examine white peppercorns closely, you will notice that they do not have the wrinkles of black peppercorns. That is because all white peppercorns start as young black peppercorns, picked when ripe. Instead of drying these peppercorns out, they are put under running water or left to soak. The water dissolves the fruit's skin, leaving a white-grey color behind. This is also why white peppercorns are smaller than black peppercorns. White peppercorns have quite distinct flavor as compared to black peppercorns. They are not as richly complex and they lack black pepper's bite, but they offer instead of floral and a more delicate, fruity, flowery spiciness with a hint of fermentation due to how they're processed. While white pepper is not very popular in the United States, it has a big fan base in Europe and parts of Asia. It can be found in Chinese soups like hot and sour soup, and it is used in stir-fry recipes for complex floral additions. In Europe, it is more frequently used in place of black pepper, and some cooks like it for its ability to blend into light-colored dishes like whipped potatoes and wishisoas. Now, there are certain other spices and ingredients that often go with the name of pepper, but they aren't actually the pepper we talked about today. They just have its name. And this name borrowing was mostly due to the similar taste profile. But pink peppercorns adopted it just because they were roughly the same shape and size. A similar approach was taken while naming of the New World capsicum plant family, better known as chili peppers. These fruits, ranging in hotness from mild to fiery, originated in South and Central America, but was so quickly and thoroughly adapted by cultures all over the world that many people are still confused about their origins. Along with vanilla and allspice, the Old World's discovery of capsicum plant family were called chili peppers or hot peppers, which was widely adopted throughout the world. Even the doctor on Christopher Columbus's ship called these fruits Indian peppers. His letter sending home described that the taste of these wild fruits was very pungent, and on touching their tongues, they became inflamed. The history and the spread of black pepper have been based on trade and access to South Asia, from ancient to medieval and modern periods. Europe and China had both developed a taste for black pepper. It became a spice common to many cuisines of the Old World and still the New World. In the Roman period, black pepper was a much sought after product by the Romans from India. The taste for pepper remained in Europe even after the Roman period. The Dutch and later the British East India Company began to have more direct control of India, leading to substantial increases in black pepper trade that also lowered the prices and made it a common condiment or spice. Today, the trade in black pepper is once again controlled by the regions that produce it rather than the foreign states. And this spice still holds the spot for the most important spice in the world. Thank you so much for sticking around on this episode of Foodology. See you soon.